Okay, you know I do a ton with the light and the atomic research. And somebody asked today, can you tell me what a semi-Dirac particle is? Fermion. Yes, it's right there. These are the Diracs. It's the white part only. So somebody asked me that. He said, because we just discovered a semi, which is part of a Dirac. Here, this is Dirac neutrinos. These are supposed to be the smallest particles that exist. There's a black one and a white one supposed to be together. Yes, they are. That's not matter. That's energy. That's the matter. And this part only is called the fermion. It's the energy. This part is the matter. It's the dark matter they never even knew existed. And it's attached to the energy. It's a dipole electron. Again, this is my theory. I've had it for years and years and years. Now, this is a semi-Dirac fermion, which means it has all the energy, and it's just part of a Dirac, semi-Dirac fermion. That's what it is, my friend. I forget who asked, but that's what it is. Okay, my friends, you all know how I feel about being suppressed with valid scientific information because it's not accepted because they just don't want to hear it. And this is what happened to this guy. He's a renowned neurosurgeon, and he came up with some new evidence that they didn't want to hear, that they banned him immediately when he put it into the public, and he said, hey, let's think about this, and you guys are wrong, basically. And they're, at this point, the research shows every day, well, we didn't realize this. Well, now and it's all about enzymes now, and it's all about membranes, and it's this guy is doing some extreme deep research on light and the eye. Now, I have a little different take on this. Light, yes, can obviously affect your eye. He's saying that different frequencies can cause you to get retinal detachments. I can agree, possibly, but he's saying it affects a bit of chemistry in your eye, which makes you end up with a retinal detachment. It's related to melatonin, or there's some chemistry here. Not something you have to worry too much about. Because I say the only way the chemistry gets correct is with the enzymes, and the enzymes are only good if the bacteria in all these fluid-filled highways has the right bacteria to create the right enzymes, because the enzymes are a product of the bacteria. You don't have the enzyme, you're not going to get the chemistry. You're not going to have the correct fluids, and you're not going to have the correct things that can stop invasion. And the other thing that enzymes do is they build particles called proteins. They build them up so they can make attachments, and they can make, you know, corrections to lenses, and they're the things that keep your body working. Your body is dying continuously. Every second, trillions of cells are dying in you, and they have to be replaced. You need these proteins. These proteins are only a product of enzymatic breakdown of what you consume. You consume that carrot doesn't turn into an eyeball. Something's got to break it all down and then build it back up again. It's exactly what enzymes do, and they are only produced by bacteria, and our bacteria is under assault in our bodies because we consume weed killer. Yeah, weed killer. It's a bactericide. They say, well, I won't hurt you because it only hurts plants. Well, that's in us, are these plants that is there, and we were killing them. And antibiotics, the same thing. You need to re-up your bacteria. And guess what does that? Just take a guess. You say, well, if you kill all the bacteria in your gut, what's going to happen? Well, you're going to be sicker than hell, I can tell you that right now. And what's supposed to happen is your appendix, which is just a lump of poop that hangs off your intestine, is supposed to squirt some back in there, enough to get it started again. But if you don't have the right bacteria, just let's get to the end of the story here. If you don't have the right bacteria in that fluid-filled highway, you will not be able to create the enzymatic breakdown and the proteins and the immunities that your body absolutely requires to stay healthy. You'll be chronically sick. You'll be attacked by anything that can get. You have weak junctions, they call it. You know, they're supposed to have tight junctions between cells. All these membranes, they're protecting coatings, and they go right through, and that's where you get sick. It's literally everything you get sick from is invasion. Invasion means you got to have that protective layer, which is your membrane. The membrane needs those fluids, which are created by the enzymes. The enzymes need the bacteria to create the enzymes, and then you're good to go. Once you start killing off your bacteria, you just a continuous downward trend. And now all of these people that, well, not all of them, but they're saying it's a very, very severe outbreak now of chronic fatigue. And that's what it is. You need your bacteria to create the enzymes to create the breakdown of the products so you can consume them in your mitochondria as energy. And that's why people and you know, I'm too tired too. You know, I'm taking it as just a function of my age. Because that happens. Your bacteria ages just like you do. And as that bacteria just stops doing its job, you stop doing your job. There's all kinds of things now. I've been working with a lot of different people. They're even considering you freeze your poop when you're very, very, very young and healthy, and you save it for when you get old and not healthy, and then you put that back in your body, because that will bring back all of the enzymes. They're starting to understand this now. Every day it's, wow, we didn't realize this. There's a basic supplement we can use now. And every one of them I'm seeing, they're proteins based around amino acids, which are from these enzymes. So anyway, let's go a little further. So can I show those actually happening? I'm just telling you, I understand light very, very well. And this is from Fermilab, and so is this right here. These are the two particles. They know they're there. They just didn't know where they came from because they smash things to bits and they see them. We had it from light. This is a photon of light. They started with huge, huge balls of matter like this, smashed into bits, and every now and then they'd see these tiny little bits, and they'd say, wow, these are the tiniest things we see. Well, we started with those tiny little bits, and then not only could we see them in exactly what they're made of, which is light, and which is the dipole electrons back to back. It's just like two bar magnets. One bar magnet without the other one attached to it is actually heat. That's the difference between heat and light. And electricity is only the semi-Dirac fermion. All by itself is the white. It wants to get back to the black because that's the strong nuclear force. If you can separate these, you can get extraordinary amounts of energy. And guess what? We did it. Through a Venturi, the explosion happens here, the pinch is here, and the black cannot get through. Only the white gets through. Bam, bam, bam. What happens? The black can't make it through. It's too small. It slaps the white and squirts it out the other side. And we should be able to collect that white up and use it as energy, because that's right there is raw electricity. We did nothing whatsoever to extract it from the light. And that's all you're doing. When it's a solar panel, you're extracting the white. That's what electricity is. This here, we just use the laser, which takes very little energy to function, and it creates enormous amounts of these electrons. So you're doing the exact same thing in a solar panel. You know, it's funny because I was just getting ready to do this on the chicken tissue and this new organ. I have discovered another new organ. I discovered the interstitium. My paper is from 2015. A giant, complete organ system that covers every organ in the body. Now, I also discovered this in my other stuff. Was these two tubes coming out of this layer that I discovered was the interstitium. And what are they? Here's the key right here. You see this? This thing that I discovered first of all, was this basically is a fluid-filled highway, all the layering around, which is the membranes. There's a fluid-filled highway. It's pretty thick. And by the time they ever did autopsies, it was flat. They never even knew it existed. But in my mud fossils, I could see it very clearly. So I kept pursuing that. And in 2015, I wrote the paper about this fascia. It's in the fascia. And I wrote it about facilitating the fossilization, but I also mentioned it was a fluid-filled network that surrounded all the organs. Now, as I kept working and working, I said, how many cancers are there? There's literally hundreds of different cancers, and they affect different types of organs. Like you've got lung cancer, you've got kidney cancer, you've got every single organ and every single tissue, even red blood cells. Blood cells, you not blood cancer. Why? It's invading the membranes. Why is it invading the membranes? Every one of them is a membrane invasion, 100%. And every membrane has to have different chemistry. There's no other option. But it's all one big fluid-filled highway. And everywhere these things tack in, they have to change their fluids into the next fluid. It's just not like one big rubber bag. So I'm saying it's likely that this chicken breast has an exact type of fluid in it, and something happens where it transfers into the next membrane, which is the next organ or wherever. This attaches somewhere into the body. Now I took a piece of chicken tissue right here, same thing as this. I cut it out and I dried it up, and it's nice and hard, and I looked at this and I can see the tubes, which are from the fluid fill, and here's right there. And there's also a little blood supply that goes along with it. And these two tubes have a different color to them. So it's got to be like a vein in an artery type of thing. All right, look at this. This is the chicken breast. This is where it locks into the body, which is somewhere in the abdomen, I guess. Now, this is that little piece right here. Okay, you follow me? And this piece is that piece. And this little, well, let me just show you. This little part here is where it comes over into this yellow stuff. You see this? What we're going to be looking at is right, you can actually see the two tubes coming down. And then it transfers into this, which is in the body actually, where this locked in. All right, and this thing just glued it into the body. Now, let's take a look at that, what those two tubes are. And here they are real up close. We're going to be right on top of this. Here it is here. There's the two tubes. There's one here and one here. Now, what do we see? First of all of this stuff is coming down into like a triangle looking thing, a little rounded triangle. And here's where the fluid's coming out. Now you see this one here is darker than that one. I noticed that before, and I was wondering, am I just seeing something? But no, they are darker. This one's darker than that one. Why? At this point, I'm not sure. But there's obviously some kind of different fluid in there than here. This can be tested. This can all be looked into. Now, is the fluids in this membrane, which was the chicken tissue. All right, let's go back to here. All right, what I want to know is the fluids that were surrounding these breasts the same fluids that would be in the thing that attached down here? Or is there some different chemistry? Is somehow something held back and it's supposed to only stay in this? Or is the same chemistry all through the whole entire body? But one is darker than the other. That's all I can say at this point. And again, this is an unknown organ. This is brand new biology. Nobody knows about this. I can guarantee you that's a fact, because I'm talking to one of the top biologists, anatomists in the world. He does autopsies. He says, no, it's just fascia. I said, nope. That is not fascia, my friend. Well, it's fascia, but it is a special piece of fascia. And that I showed on this here with the little dots. There's two dots. It breaks off. In my mud fossils, I could see it when it broke off. Anyway, that's I get into everything. because you have to be into everything to understand anything. If you don't understand chemistry, you don't understand dipole electron flood theory, forget about it. And this guy doing the eye stuff, it's amazing because he gets down. What really shocked me was I did this years ago, and I couldn't remember why I did it. I really couldn't. I came up with this the other day, and I was wondering, these are the dipoles coming down from space. All right? They hit here, and there's a very, very hot zone out here, and then it gets extremely cold, and it gets hot again, and that's where we are. That's why we're getting hot. And it's getting colder in the middle. It's just because it's a dipole. Hot, cold, hot. Now, these are the frequencies. And then he showed a pattern showing the frequencies. I couldn't remember why I was thinking about this. Now, the brain runs on that frequency right there, 7.83 hertz, which is cycles per second. And all of these bounces of the fields drop 6.5 hertz every bounce, except for the Earth. And the Earth is a 7.83 bounce. Why? Why is it 7.83 and everybody else is 6.5? These are the resonances. Boom, 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 right to the ground. And these are the fields that set up around. And there's dust and all this stuff in space, and we're scrubbing through these particles against these particles. And it's push to shove, push to shove, push to shove. You see, boom, 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 boom. Now, there's something different about the Earth versus everything else, and I think it's starting to sink in right now. Let me think about this. Okay, this is the explanation, and it's exactly what Tesla said. He says everything is vibration and frequency. So how fast is it vibrating? That's the frequency, but everything is vibration. It's push to shove. I call it push to shove. Now, so these are pushing, shoving back, pushing, shoving back, pushing, shoving back. Now, here's the difference down here. The last spot, just before you hit the Earth's surface, you've got pushing, shoving, and pushing, shoving both directions. So, to my way of thinking, it's slowing down that frequency. In other words, you got 6.5 hertz difference between here and there. It's just slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. But down at the very bottom, it really slows. It's actually slowing down when it's shifting to the red. It's hard to explain because you'd think it would be going faster, but it's not. It's going the same distance, but it's spinning slower. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So it's going the same distance, but spinning slower and slower and slower and slower and slower. But every one of these is basically the same distance. It's just that the light itself is now stretching, red shifting. And at the bottom, it's being pushed back as it's being coming down. So, because the Earth has just a natural, it pushes back against certain particles, which are basically in the light range, which is hydrogen, helium, and all that stuff. So it pushes them up. They want to float away from the Earth, and this wants to come down. Out here, I don't think it's the same. It has to be something to add that extra 1.33. Maybe that's something to think about. But there is a difference in these frequencies, and this guy goes into that. He's very, very good, the guy doing the eyeball stuff. Now let's see what he has to say about the light and about the eyeball and about how we see things. Now, my opinion about this problem with the eyes is it's still all related to enzymes, but let's see what they have to say. Because they know that the science is totally wrong. They agree with that. Do we agree why? Well, maybe, maybe not. Let's see. All right, so this channel is video advice. Now, here's what he's got to say.
Light was able to make chemicals in us that weren't there before. When I saw this, I immediately realized that everything in medicine was completely ass backwards. And nobody has told you why. I'm telling you why right now. because you're blue light toxic. Blue light makes you fat. What I tell you my day job was? I'm a neurosurgeon, right? The alpha wave in the human brain is 7.83 hertz, exactly.
Now, listen to this now. This is where we get into really some serious stuff, 7.83 hertz. I just found this the other day, and I couldn't remember why I did this, but let's see what he has to say. So let's just go back a little bit. This is important to understand this. He's talking about how your brain operates on a certain frequency. It's just like your computer has a frequency. And if that frequency goes off, everything goes off. So, is this what he's talking about? Let's see. He's talking about, he's a neurosurgeon. He's a brain surgeon. And he's talking about alpha waves. Alpha waves are these 7.83 hertz waves. Let's see.
In the human brain is 7.83 hertz, exactly the same. You have this direct loop that goes to the pineal gland, but the energy comes in here. This energy has to be balanced, blue and red. What does this first do? It turns your pituitary gland on. That's why I stopped operating at 7 a.m.
They tried to silence him.
You need to question everything. You're looking at a guy speaking to you right now who doesn't believe pretty much anything he learned in medical school can be taken with any truth. The answers are right in front of us, folks. Even though the answers are right in front of us, if your dopamine level is low, you will not perceive the truth right in front of your face.
Okay, he's talking about chemistry now. I'm big into chemistry, and I'm big into light, and I'm big into biology. So, and you got to put all three together. Now, let's see what he goes. Let's just go a little bit further. But so far, I think we got enough to start a good discussion about this topic. Now, let's just see.
Energy and mass are exactly the same thing. The only thing that's different is the environment that each side of the equation is in. Now, the pupil is a perfect black box radiator. What does that mean? Because we're doing a little physics here. It means that light can go in and come back. How did I know immediately that UV light got through? I challenge anybody to go to batteries and bulbs, buy a UVA flashlight, LED, put it in anybody's retina. You know what you'll see? You'll see fluorescence come right back. You don't need anything else. So every time the ophthalmologist, like when I gave this talk 3 months ago and I proved to them, they were full of That's how I did it. I brought a UVA flashlight and shined it in all their eyes. I said, what'd you see? Explain, based on what we learned in medical school. That shut them up pretty quick. Okay? Because you don't need a lot of photons to see the effect. This is something that everybody in this room can do, reproducible. So when you go to the ophthalmologist, you can say, I don't believe what you're telling me. But here's the key. You guys have heard from all your food gurus that you've heard previously talk in all these other years about tryptophan, about tyrosine, about phenylalanine, and histidine. But you know...
Wait, before he goes any further, you see what all this stuff, these are amino acids, carbolic acids. They're all molecules and chemicals that are part of life. These aren't just floating around these are primarily ends up being made by enzymes. If you don't have enzymes to break down the chemistry comes into your body, you're never going to get any of this stuff. So it's we'll go a little longer here with this, but he's attributing everything to he's not looking into the chemistry. He's looking into the light, thinking that the light is causing these issues. And we can only absorb certain frequencies, and other frequencies are dangerous, like the blue light causes all kinds of problems. Well, I can't totally discount that, but I can. My feeling is, if you don't have the right enzymes, I don't care what light you're getting, you're not going to be healthy. You have to have the right enzymes. You've got to have good digestion, which means good bacteria, and a good bacteria means you're going to have the enzymes. Enzymes means you're going to have the chemistry. You don't have the chemistry, you don't have the energy, you don't have your eyeballs won't work right, your membranes will be weak. So I go for the biology, chemistry. Now he's talking about light. Light's part of it, absolutely. Light, everything is made from light. We're made from light. We're made from the particles of light. I've shown it a billion times. We are made from light. Even Jesus Christ said, if they ask you where you come from, tell them we come from the light. We are from the place where the light came up of its own accord and manifested itself in their image. So I don't know where that is, but it seems like it must be the sun, because that's the only place I know where light comes for free. And we're made out of that light. He says, and that's what Jesus said. Tell them we come from the light. You are children of the light. Now, I'm not taking his word for it, because as far as I'm determined now, Jesus was as advertised. That was no joke. He came to warn us, and I'm taking the warning quite seriously. You do what you think is right. Okay, don't forget now, I am not making any criticisms. I'm saying he's thinking of light causing these issues, but he's bringing up all the things that point to the fact that it's enzymes, in my opinion. Now, the aromatic amino acid is amino acid, includes an aromatic ring. Well, amino acids are the building blocks of life, and there's 20 standard amino acids, and you have to break things down and build them back up again. That's what enzymes do, and they work with these amino acids. So he's talking about traps of molecules that are being trapped and doing this and that. And he's relating it to light being captured with inside these. Well, I think he'll get it to this pretty quick, I'm hoping. Hold on. All right, let's let him continue on. He's talking about these different molecules, but the only way you get these molecules is breaking down these particles using these amino acids and enzymes and then building them back up again. That's the only way you get all of these. These things are very sophisticated, the particles in our body. Now listen to what he has to say.
Aromatic amino acids, they all absorb UV light. Did you know that?
Well, here's the thing. UV light is absorbed by just about all the amino acids absorb UV light. Now, the key is amino acids are the building blocks of life. And he's saying to different degrees, all aromatic amino acids, which is, aromatic means they've just gone into a vaporized state, basically. They're disassociated. And they absorb ultraviolet light. But that's just the way it is. That's just the nature of molecules that are from living creatures, amino acids. That's their job, is to interact with light to eventually create energy. So here we go.
Well, I didn't 12 years ago, but the key thing is the eye is loaded with these amino acids.
Everything's loaded with these amino acids. 23 amino acids, yes. But every one of these amino acids has a different molecular polarity and configuration, and they work in conjunction with each other. And a lot of them are in your DNA. Well, 4 of them specifically that are in your DNA. They can only arrange CTAGs. They can only arrange in a certain way, and that's what gives you the double helix, so that they hook together. So he's seeing things. Yes, I agree with what he's saying. But he's talking about light being trapped inside these photon cages. Well, that's possible. Let me see where I can find where he's talking about. Out here, he's saying if you want to know how light works, stick around. Well, maybe he's got it, maybe he doesn't. Let's see.
Here you go. This is a protein. UV light hits it. That is a light antenna. It's surrounded by water. Light is an electromagnetic wave that changes to an electromechanical wave. That's called sound. That
is correct. He's right. Sound is nothing more than light, but it's just going slow.
Sound is collected in water. Now, here's the interesting thing. Water is a magnetic dipole. What does that mean? Hydrogen and oxygens, positive and negative. That's the reason why it's tied to magnetism. The first time that we found out that magnetism truly controls sound, Ohio State University Acoustic Phonons 2014. You can look it up. When the light hits here, it's absorbed in the water. That changes the hydrogen bonding networks. What is the physical change? The physical change is the density of the water.
Now, he's going to talk about something now. I have a friend, Rogran, over in Italy that was doing some focusing through 3 different lenses into a droplet of water. And when he hit it just right, it was the most brilliant blast of light I've ever seen. And he's just a guy like me. He's a nobody, but he's just doing these experiments. And he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Wow, I think you may have liberated the excess electrons that are in water, because water is H2O. It's just nothing but electrons, basically. There's 2 H's, which are the smallest bits of matter, and they can liberate their energy, and they're very, very energetic, hydrogen. So let's see what he has to say, let's see what he has to say.
That is how this works. Fundamentally, quantum mechanically. Now, here's the interesting thing. Mitochondria makes the cytosolic water that surrounds all the things in the cytosol, including the nucleus and the mitochondria. Where is this connection?
You know, when you say surround, it is the intermembrane space. This is the interstitium. This is where you have to have the enzymes and the bacteria living in here. And they're the ones that they work inside. This down here would be the matrix, the body matrix. Out here is your skin area. And it comes through, and this is supposed to keep you insulated from these invaders. But if they get through, if they get through this layer, you're in trouble. They're going to get through here all the time. When they get down in here, then that's when you get all pus and all that nasty inflammation and everything, because they're really down into your good stuff. Out here, you get a little nick or a cut, and it's no big deal. So let's see what he has to say here. This is good.
Well, for those of you who don't know, the Schumann resonance comes from the interaction of sunlight on the ionosphere of the Earth.
All right, here we go. This is when I saw that, I freaked out, because I was just looking at this the other day. I said, why was I doing? What the hell was I doing? Now, I didn't go any further than this. Well, I went maybe a little further, but there's these pinch zones that are those frequencies.
That's why people call it the heartbeat of Earth. But it's
Whoops, I'm going to go back there. There's exactly what I was showing.
Where is this connection? Well, for those of you who don't know, the Schumann resonance comes from the interaction of sunlight on the ionosphere of the Earth.
All right, sunlight is this. Boom, 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 boom. Now, the last one down is the slow one. And I think it's got to do with either the density of the bottom layer of atmosphere, which it could very well just be the density. There's just so much down there that it doesn't have the same speed coming down, so it drags out the frequency. I believe that's it.
That's why people call it the heartbeat of Earth. But it's an electrical tension that develops between the solar plasma and the atmosphere that generates the 7.83 hertz. Why do you need to know about it? What I tell you my day job was? I'm a neurosurgeon, right? The alpha wave in the human brain is 7.83 hertz, exactly the same. So guess what? The solar system entrains you to these solar systems as it comes to Earth.
Well, that's a debate we have to think about very carefully. Your Schumann resonance is the frequency of the bouncing of magnetic waves. It's not just light; it's magnetism, and the magnetism bounce is like boom, 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 two magnets bumping apart. And he's saying the Schumann resonance plays a part in this alpha wave brain interaction. Now, I don't know if that's a valid argument or not. I'd have to look at this whole video, which I have not. And I do know that he's right about the Schumann frequency, all I know is what I've read about it and heard about it. I can't verify any of that stuff. But if the Schumann frequency is, as they say, 7.83 down here, and the human brain is 7.83, I wouldn't say that would be a coincidence. Just accidental. Something, I agree with him. Something's going on here. What it is, I don't know at this point. Is it just that everything here fluctuates at that frequency because we're just in that harmony, like a sound wave, just jiggling you back and forth, and it's just continuous, so you never get out of it? Everything in your body tunes into that? Could be. I'm going to try to figure out what he's saying he thinks it is. I think I'm going to have to go against what he's saying here. He's talking about the light being the problem and redox and so forth, drying out the tissues. Now, then he's going to be showing some shots of this. As far as I'm concerned, if you don't have the right bacteria, you're not going to have the right enzymes. You're going to end up with having some kind of deterioration of your tissues, or the tissues will deform, or they'll be invadable, or whatever. But let's see. He's saying here, where was I back here? Got to remember where I was. He gets pretty deep. I like this guy, but I'm not sure he's got the. Okay, this is 1131. Now let's listen to what he has to say.
Potential in your mitochondria. Other words, original slide, you can't make as much water from your own mitochondria. That's where the dehydration comes. And for the ladies in the room or the guys in the room who are not big science people, simple biohack at home: take a piece of steak that you have left over, throw it in the microwave, taste it. What does it taste like? Shoe leather. Why? What do microwaves do? They vibrate and rotate water really fast. It heats up and it dehydrates the meat.
Well, when he says they rotate water, what they do, the microwaves is an exact frequency. And what does that frequency do? It jiggles the distance that the hydrogens and oxygens are apart from each other, the water molecules. And it just like scrubbing them back and forth. And the heat comes out. And what does the heat do? It evaporates the water molecules, and they disperse and they dry out the steak. Yes, I agree with that 100%. But that's not a big deal to me. That just shows you that you can shake these particles. Yes. Now he's saying they shake the particles in the eye and do the same sort of stuff. I don't know. He's come down here, he's talking about the presence of melanin, the human crystalline lens cells, and its role in melatonin synthesis. Well, melatonin synthesis means you're creating. Synthesis means to synthesize something, to make it. And you're making melatonin. And how do you make it? You use enzymes. Where do you get the enzymes? From the bacteria. So I'm not going necessarily with that the light is causing issues. It may cause issues, yes. I can't say no. Well, I know light will cause issues if it's a bad frequency and it's too intense and all that stuff. Most people understand that. It's not too hard to understand that. But very few people understand about the enzymes. They don't understand about these membranes, how they protect you. And the enzymes have to be in there, and the melatonin is only there from the bacteria, from the enzymes.